Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's another day in this beautiful universe, guys. Another hot day, starting the day, getting my steps in. Well, I'm not starting the day right here, but my day started a little earlier, getting my kids up and taking my daughter to school. Now I'm out here, getting my steps in, getting activity. Notice how I said my day didn't start with me working or going to a job. So I want to talk about that real quick. If this is your first time seeing Black, please hit the sub button. Please hit a like. Please drop a comment and say hi. Let's spread some positivity and some optimism real quick. But yeah, my days, my mornings, they do not start with me answering an email, taking a call, going to a function or a day-to-day setting like a warehouse or an office. I quit that. I was done with that, guys. I was done with it back in July 2025. I started working completely remote in August of 2025. So yes, every morning, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, my days would be answering an email, taking a call, preparing, dressing myself up, preparing to go to a work-related setting. Most of the times I couldn't even see my kids. I won't exaggerate. Sometimes I couldn't see my kids first thing in the morning. My wife would handle that. It depends if I have to go to a meeting. I have to go in front of certain personnel at a certain time. If I worked from home that day or that week, then yeah, I can see my kids. I'll take them to school. I can see my wife, right? But once I get into work, guys, 10, 12, 15 hours pass, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, when I'm done, the day's done. And it's like, I'm like, I can't keep doing this. There's no way I can actually keep doing this. There's no way I can subject majority of my time, sleep 6 to maybe 7 hours, maybe. Sometimes it's 5 hours, and work 12 to 15 hours in a day. There's no way. I thought I could do it, guys, and it's like, man, I thought I couldn't do it because I thought that was my only option, I guess. I thought this was the way I had to get to where I could be at now or even further as far as flexibility and some sort of taste of freedom, right? I thought if I build and I go this route of killing myself, right, in every way, shape, or form, I could only do it for 8 to 10 years. And I'm like, okay, I could just get to early retirement. By 39, 40 years old, I can pull out. If I subject my life working 60 to 75 hours a week. And with my job, guys, with my industry that I'm in, as simple as me texting back and forth or answering a call before I even leave my bedroom is me working. And then the rabbit hole, just gets deeper with all that extra stuff. Traffic, schedules, being in front of people, client or customer facing, all that crap, right? So it's crazy. So now, 11 months later, guys. It's crazy. It's almost been a year. I'm about 11 months later, And my mornings do not have to start like that. My afternoons don't include that. And my evenings are very minute. I've condensed my workload from 60 to 75 hours a week to 60 to 75 hours within a month. Yeah, and y'all not gonna believe me. But it's not really meant for you to honestly believe me. I just want to raise awareness and get you guys thinking. Is killing myself on a job the only way? Is it? Is it the only way? Because why do we work? What is the means? Is there an end to that means? So there should be 2 reasons why we work, maybe 3. And number 2 and 3 can kind of coincide. That's why I said it could be 2 to 3, depending on how you look at it. 1 is because life is expensive, life costs. The investment of life is to live, right? Cost of our living, basic shelter, food, right? Some sort of communications. We're in the digital age, right? So just making sure we can live day to day. And then number 2, which is as important, is making sure our work can support the longevity of our work, can support a lifestyle after work, i.e. retirement. And this is slowly, guys, number 1 is slowly becoming harder to do. And number 2 is almost becoming impossible. So I'll say number 3. Number 3 is in between number 1 and number 2 is before we get to any sort of post-retirement or post-working for retirement, while we're in our working life, I guess, cycle, we should be able to fund things that we like to do on the side, whether it's for income reasons, like supplemental income reasons, or a hobby, just to enjoy life. So that's why I pair number 2 and 3. It depends how you guys look at it. Make sure we make it day to day with our, if you guys, took any sort of psychology or whatever, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just the stage 1, it's just day to day. Just we gotta, pay for our day-to-day stage 1 needs. Number 2 is post-retirement. So that should be able to get to us to, in a utopia, or like a system where or a life where the system isn't broken or fragmented. Then in that same hierarchical triangle, stage 5 is essentially what we should be doing at retirement. But guys, it's hard to even maintain stage 1. And I think that's what we don't realize. We think like it's supposed to be this way. We think, everything's getting more competitive. There's more people on this earth. Everybody can be smart. Everybody can get degrees. Everybody can invest into something. So everything is just, competitive. Everything is this. So the harder I work, the better competitive I can be. When we have to literally sometimes look outside the box, or literally change our mindset to how we do things, or how we spend money, or who we listen to or be around, literally. Because my same thinking was that if I bust my ass, especially being a young black American without a degree, I didn't finish school. If I bust my ass, it doesn't matter. I can still make 6 figures, which I did. If I bust my ass, it doesn't matter. I can still buy homes, properties, which I did. It doesn't matter. I can still invest and create side income, which I did. But there's so much riffraff and minutia to try and just to create, do, work, slave, and break down our body as a part of this journey. There's so much. Our body is already going to be self-deteriorating at 30, 32, 40, right? You know, our testosterone for men, right? Starts decreasing. So this is a natural thing. And because mostly because of the environment we live in and the diets that we eat, yes. But at this point, it's almost just genetic. Although we can fight it, don't get me wrong. Again, changing our lifestyle, changing our means, changing our mindset, we can fight stuff. This is kind of basically what I'm talking about, guys. I'm not going the same route most people are. I'm not. I see too many cons. I see too many negatives, right? I see what's against me. I see the pros, the strengths I have. I see the weaknesses that I have, right? Whether it's my own fault or it's due to genetics and DNA. So I have to do something different. And the first thing is, I am not going to kill myself on a job as long as I live. I will never work full-time again. I will never do that again. I've done enough. Because in my environment, in my future, in my mind that I can manifest, I do not have to do that. And we've been so programmed thinking we have to do that. Whether we're single or we have a big ass family, like it doesn't matter. It's even worse when you have less dependence because you have more flexibility. You have more flexibility in your expenditure. You have more flexibility with limiting liabilities. So you don't have to make as much because you could spend less than another demographic. Whole nother video. But my point is that we have to start doing things that most people aren't doing, guys. Most people aren't ready to do. Most people aren't comfortable with, because most people, the thing with the, and I wish, you know, I tell my wife this all the time. I wish I studied psychology. I kind of did. You know, I took psychology in high school for a little bit, but I just was trying to pass, right? It's just part of the, you know, just going to school bullshit. But just the study of man or the mind, you know, even when we're amiss, you know, we're so resilient. You know, our cognition is there, right? This is what separates us from animals and blah, 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 right? Like, you know, we're so resilient to, I don't know, factors. We're so resilient to volatile environments, and we just pick up and we go. You know, and I'll give you an example. I was watching this video a couple months ago. My wife and I was watching this video, and we're like, you know, there was this guy from Seattle, him and his wife, homeless, essentially jobless. He's looking for like same day pay. He was traveling from a certain spot within Seattle, 2 hours away to find work, at least for a day, like just day-to-day work. He has to show up by 5 or 6 in the morning to get paid that day by the end of the day, as long as he shows up at that time. And what's you know, the fact, like, what I was thinking about watching it is the pride that this man had, right? A white American. And he's sleeping in front, outside, not inside, outside on the parking lot of a church. Him and his wife and his 2 kids. I think he has a 2 and a 4-year-old. Don't quote me. But 2 young kids. The lady works part-time to full-time. I think she's a cashier, and the guy's trying to find a job. The lady's miserable. The lady's, you know, like, man, we're in this situation, you know. But the guy has such prudence and pride, you know, confidence, that it doesn't matter if he was licking the ground. he's gonna die by the sword. You know, this is the America that he's known, and that he's gonna die knowing. And he is prideful and he loves his country. It doesn't matter what economic state he is in. So that's the resilience I talk about. That's powerful when, you know, like the mind is like, let's push through this. You know, let's get this done, even if it takes forever, even if we don't do, even if it don't happen. That's just the mind, you know. But obviously that can be bad, guys, because I'm like, to what end? To what end? The system that's in place is to take from us with discernment, wit, and skill, and I guess a little bit of sacrifice and isolation. As the system takes, we have to take back. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're gonna, time is already passing. Time takes our life. It drains us, you know. There's a just difference from day one to day two. We're living to eventually evaporate. You know how kind of, that's just, not to be morbid, but that's just what it is. So if this is already happening, like, and I know people can muck things up, buy cosmetics or do surgery and buy all this nice stuff and just be in the moment, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable. But the more you work, like the more you break it down, like your soul, like the more you're subjecting your time to both a system, a manager, director, a company, subjecting all of your energy, guys, the sooner you're going to evaporate. And not just physically, but mentally, morally. People are willing to do anything to get a job. They're willing to do anything to make money. And especially rich people, right? Especially people who are rich. They're willing to take. You got to be on the other end of the matrix to survive in that type of system. But if you unplug and play a different game, you can breathe easier. But nobody's talking about this. You can't talk about this. You can't take away, the people who maneuver the chains of the system, which is us. Like, we make the system rock. Like, we're in this warehouse and we pull the lever, every second of the day we pull this lever. So I'm saying all this to say what, us? What am I saying? Like, Deshaun, get to your point, right? How much longer do we go? Like, do we have options? Or are we aware of our options? Because I say this to my wife all the time. I feel like we are aware of everything that happens and we just don't care. We don't know how serious it is, at least. Maybe we're ignorant to the consequences of just being in this circle of life, this evil circle of life, the circle of life that just takes from us. There's a lot of opportunities to live below means, and we don't. There's a lot of opportunities to create things that can promote passive income, and we can't do it. We don't do it. We just want to live and be in the moment. So I'm talking. Look, I want to end this here. I'm gonna end this here, but I'm talking to people who are wanting to change. I don't care anymore. I want to play devil advocacy. I want to, think half empty, half full. But at the end of the day, guys, I may take a pivot here. Look, right here on video. I'm talking to people who are tired of it. If you're tired right now, hit us up. Drop a like. Leave a comment. If you're tired of it, up and leave. You guys have power. Quit your job if it doesn't make sense. Honestly, like, just look at the financials. Look at how long you've been doing things. Look at your health. Look at your wellness. Look at your relationships. Look at what you're doing and not doing outside of work. Just start from there. Just basic physical stuff. And if it doesn't make sense, if there's more negatives than cons, then write a resignation letter to your job. Because sometimes we have to unplug. Like guys, we've gotten to the point where we're working so much that a job can give us PTO and we don't even take it. How do we not take our PTO? How do jobs have to force us to take a PTO? This is just where we've come to. Quit at least for 6 months. And it's like, well, I don't have 6 months of savings. And that's the problem too, right? Because we're not preparing a life outside of work. We're not preparing a life without work. And it's not necessarily work. We're not preparing a life without income. Or we're not prepared. We don't have a plan to be self-sufficient. To whereas if we don't go to a job for a month, we're incomeless. You guys get what I'm saying? So it's like, I know you guys are like, hey, I want to do this, but I can't. I got bills to pay. But we're going to forever have bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is forever going to happen, especially when we're in a climate, we're in an environment, an expensive, dog eat dog world like America, guys. It's going to forever be that way. So maybe before you do that, write a year. 2030, I want to be able to take a year off from work. Like, is anybody planning to do that? Does anybody think about just stepping away from a little bit to rewind? Because if people start to do that, they're not going to want to go back. Look, this is what, come on, guys. And I'll end it here for real. You know how rich these CEOs are? Even your VPs and your executive people who are not the CEO, they make so much money. They can literally work. They have more flexibility with their work. Okay, you can say they earn it, they're more educated, they're more experienced, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, think about it. Why do you have to accrue PTO on your job? Or accrue, I'm almost saying that wrong. Why is PTO limited for most jobs? Why, when you do a function that allows you to work anywhere in the country and maybe the world, they don't allow you to work that way? Like, y'all got to think about it, because when the system is showing you guys, or is putting you in an environment, in a place to show you that you have options to live and be different, doing the same type of work, like, that's control. That's where the buck stops for me. They're trying to over control your life. They're trying to micromanage you. So guys, I started seeing all this and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it just don't make sense. Y'all got to tell me how it makes sense. Y'all got to tell me if I'm doing something wrong. I know everybody has the life to live, but I just got to see how it makes sense. If I can do my function at work anywhere in this world, why won't my company allow me to? If I can have PTO, if my company's giving me PTO, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, why have I come to a certain point in my life where I don't feel good taking it? It's just this stuff, guys, we got to think about. Quit. QUIT. Sometimes we just got to take that risk and reset our life. We do. And it starts with our job. We spend 45 to 50 plus years working. Yet the more, look, guys, hear me out. We spend 45 to 50 years working. Yet the mortality rate is high 60s to low 70s. So you do the math. We don't start working at 0. We don't start working as a newborn. We start working in our teens. We start working at 18, 22. Do the math. 22. 40 years later, we're 62. If we can make it to 62. If we can make it to 62 and have a decent retirement, we may have 8 to 10 years left on this world, in this world. So that basically we're working majority of our life for almost nothing.